You know what hurts worse than a heartbreak? Okay, hear me out. Hear me out for this, because I feel like a lot of you guys can relate. Is realizing that the friends who you once thought would be in the most important events of your life are slowly distancing themselves from you and are slowly growing apart to the point where you don't even feel like you can trust them or like you want to go to them when you're either going through a lot of shit or when you have exciting news because these people you feel like will no longer be there to celebrate your success, but instead envy or even worse, just not care. And like, it's the worst thing when you're very happy and you want to talk about something you're passionate with someone who just doesn't care. And they try to fake it so much that you're just like, wow, okay, you're wasting my time. And, that's just a big red flag in a friendship. So, as you can already see from the intro, today's podcast episode is going to be about cutting out and walking away from toxic friends and knowing how to tell when your friend is being toxic and, what are some signs you should look out for? What are the vibes? Has this happened to me? Heck yeah, it does. It happens to everyone. It's a normal thing. People come and go into your life like seasons. Sometimes people you meet in the fall or you meet in certain places in your life and it was a good connection while it lasted and you're thankful for them because like without them there to guide you or to just be by your side in certain seasons of your life, like you don't know how you would have survived, or you don't know if had not been them it would have been different, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and dive right in. And as you guys know, I don't plan anything. I just whatever comes to mind, I speak it. And lately, because I'm filming this one, like, in 2021, when COVID is still a thing and we're wearing masks, thankfully I got vaccinated. Um, it's crazy because, the entire 2020 and even now of 2021, people have been showing what I like to deem as their true colors slash intentions. Sometimes there are people in your life who you genuinely think like, oh my God, I want so and so at my wedding. But after going through all the shit that I did the past year and a half, I've just realized that, you know what? I don't even want a wedding anymore. I don't even want these people to be there. Like, it sounds so bad, but it's to the point where I'm being very dead ass with you. Like, I'm being very serious. Um, there's just so many friends, really good friends, that their friendship was great, the trust was great until it wasn't. The communication was there until it wasn't, until they started being flaky, until they started being shady, until they started giving me a reason to doubt their trust and like being able to rely on them, being able to be dependent on them. Because a friendship is like a give and take relationship. Like I was talking to a guy that I went on a date with last night. LOL, shout out to you. He's not listening to this, but we were talking about how like he's been cutting out a lot of friends and I have too, and it's just like this give and take relationship where sometimes you feel like the other person in the friendship is just taking and taking and taking, and they're not listening to you, and they're not, not necessarily having to validate you, but they're not giving you like the hype you want. They're not giving you that shoulder you need to lean on. Instead, they're just expecting so much shit from you to the point where like if you back off, they either get mad and like they're like, why aren't you reaching out to me like you normally do? Oh my God, this, that, whatever. And they kind of almost like guilt trip you in it. Or what happened to me, it's like they just stop talking to you. Like you stop having streaks with them on Snapchat if you use social media. I do, and I'm not like super adamant about it as I used to be back when I was probably more social, like in high school or like my first 2 years of college. I'll just post like random ass moments of my life, like my mom and I dancing in the kitchen, me crying, stuff like that. But like when your streaks fall with them, when you know they stop reaching out to you and you just know. From a recent experience, I went to grab food with a friend, and the entire time I went with her, she was just out of it. Like she didn't seem like she wanted to be there. Like she just seemed like she was faking her excitement. Like almost as if I was a chore that she just needed to hurry up and get out of the way so that she can go and hang out with her actual friends or like do whatever the heck she wanted, you know? It's like one of those things where it starts not necessarily to become mundane, but it starts becoming like almost tiring to an extent. Like it almost wears you out, both you and the other person involved in the friendship. And it's just like, why are you putting in effort? And it like the effort that you're putting in barely is barely there. Like it barely feels like anything. Like it feels like you're half-assing this connection. And you know what? I'm not one to half-ass anything. Anything. When I tell you whether it's like relationship, friendship, anything, I'm not one to half-ass unless like I really, really don't want to do it and I'm burnt out. But I will never ever be burnt out when it comes to friendships and people I care about. So for other people to just kind of like treat me as like an object they kind of forgot about, an object of the past, it kind of pisses me off because I am the only child. So I always go above and beyond for my friends. And they know this because they always like tease me about it, or they always like in a good way, not a like mean bully way, but like in a good way where they're just like, oh my god, like you're the sister that I've never had, this, that, whatever. And I'm happy, you know, because I mean my family isn't just tied down to blood, it's some of my friends that I'm actually still friends with, surprisingly. I do have friends, even though I've been chopping a lot of them out. Like, this is my garden and the weeds must go. Or it's your closet and you're finally letting go of shit that you've had for like a while that doesn't even fit you anymore, but you just kept for the memories. You know, a friendship doesn't necessarily mean knowing someone for such a long time where you can't let go. And a lot of people find themselves in that situation. That was me at the start of high school. At the start of high school, there is this one girl who I'm not going to name names because, again, I don't expose people. I just expose myself. But let's call her K. Why not? Every kiss begins with K. We're going to call her K. And K, I don't know, short for whatever name you want to call her, Catherine, right? So K, aka Catherine, she started being very, very distant at like the start of high school, to the point where she stopped riding the same bus as me. Mind you, we still live in the same neighborhood. And one time I reached out for her because she seemed to be in a dark place, like mental health wise, like going through shit with her family. And then one time I asked her if she was okay and if she needed to talk to someone and if she wanted to like spend the night, and just kind of like whether she wanted to talk about it or just completely ignore it and take her mind off of it. And, you know, just like binge watch Disney movies or something else that we both liked at the time and eat cookies. I was there for her. And surprisingly enough, she stopped talking to me after that, to the point where when I was in high school, I remember like borderline crying. Like I had tears in my eyes whenever I'd see her in high school because her friends would look at me and she would just be like, ignore her. I don't know her. Like, forget about her. Like, don't even say hi. Because I'll be like, oh, hey, Kay. And like, I'm like, how are you? And she'll just ignore me and keep walking. Or she'd say some like nasty ass remark. And I'm like, wow, okay. Thanks. Thanks for ignoring like the past 10 years of our friendship from like elementary school. For people that hardly know you, right? But again, I'm not going to bash on her friendships, or like whatever ended up happening to her. But it hurt me as like an old friend. And I told her, look, like whatever shit you're going through, I'm always here for you, you know? And she has reached out, but I mean, not to the point where I would call her a friend. She's just someone I used to know, I guess. Ouch. That kind of hurts. But she I don't know, she just changed so much. And it was to the point where I would feel hurt because people were shit talking her at school. Like people were literally being like, and sorry if this triggers you, but literally people were being like, oh my god, Kay's such a whore. Like she ended up like fucking like 3 guys in one night. Or like, oh my god, did you see what Kay did? Did you see that Snapchat she posted? Wow, risky. And like, I don't know, I was like 14 at the time and I was just like, oh my god, this doesn't sound like my friend who's also like 14 in high school. Like she's very timid. I'm like, the fact that people are talking about her in such a disgusting manner made me feel so bad for her. Like it made me feel so sad. Like maybe she needs a hug. Maybe she's really going through it. And the reason why I say that is because like, yeah, like from my previous episodes, you guys can tell that like at one point I was in a very low mindset and very just low state after like my breakup from my first relationship, to the point where like I just thought of the only purpose, I mean, for me, I guess, was to practically be a whore. So that sounds kind of weird, but I mean it. Like, the only value I saw in myself at one point was literally just my body, not even my mind. And like, if I could go back in time and hug my friend at 14, I would hug her and tell her that things get better. And if I could go back in time to when I was in my lowest low, I would hug myself and be like, it gets better. But stuff like that, where just friends randomly turn on you, or like, as I mentioned in another episode, where like I had this random ass guy friend that I had been friends with for a while, being such a hypocrite when it came to me versus other people. Like, I see where your trust lies. I see where, where your intentions are genuinely at. Like, you only use me to get information and to comfort you when you're going through shit, but when I'm going through something, you suddenly don't have time for me. Or you're spilling my guts, my personal information to people who don't even give two shits about me or you, just for what, like, popularity, to like have something in common with people. Go away. Like, I don't need this type of energy. And lately, since like everything has been gone online, have I been antisocial? No. I'm a very much so like a social butterfly, but not like the fake kind. Like, I'll always go out of my way to ask people how they're doing, if they need help with anything, this, that, whatever. Because I know that if I ever needed help, I would love for someone to do the same thing for me. And there have been times where people would do what I do, and it's great, it's refreshing. It's nice to know that there's still nice humans out there who don't hate everybody on the planet. And so cutting out toxic friends can be hard at times because you don't always realize they're toxic until they're gone. Like, that's what happened to me and this guy friend. Like, I didn't realize how he was like low-key manipulating me and like making me feel bad either about myself, or like it was to the point where he would say things to me and be like, "Would you ever sleep with me?" No, that's like incest. Like, you're my brother. Why would I even think of like sleeping with like my best guy friend? Ew, no thanks. And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Are you sure?" And he would just keep asking me these questions and be like, "You sure you don't want to date?" And I'm like, "No, like, you literally have a girlfriend. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" Like, no. Sorry for cursing so much. But it was just to the point where I don't even know how to explain it in words, where I would just feel uncomfortable and weird. And it's a good thing we're not friends anymore, because it's the hypocrite guy that I was talking about earlier. And so, like, for things like this to just come out of your mouth, it just makes me feel like, did you only see me as like a sex object? Did you only, not that we ever did it. No, ew, incest again. No thanks. But it's like, why, why did you become my friend? Because you were like sexually attracted to me? Was that it? Like, was that all there was to it? Is that why you were spilling my guts to other people to get attention? Because I clearly wasn't giving you the time of day. Like, I don't know. It's disturbing, and it's sickening, I guess, to even think about it. But ironically enough, like, he used to be friends with this other girl that she's still in my life now. She's just working after something she wants in her career, and it's not like, she's not toxic, but like, he would always just go to her for everything instead of me. And it would just bother me, not because like that's his friend preference, because I don't give two shits. Like, you're friends with who you want to be, but with like the remarks he would tell her about, again, like sleeping with me. Like, that's gross. Like, why would you even tell that to someone else? Like, no thanks. Especially after I've told you like it makes me feel uncomfortable and you're still going at it. Like, that's a big red flag. Just period. Like, not even friendship wise. Like, just in general, like, that's a big red flag. Um, I realized he was toxic, not in the moment of our friendship. Um, but when we fell out with communication, when I stopped being the first one to check on his mental health because I knew he suffered from depression, when I stopped being the one who always held out my hand, and each time I held it out, I was met with, "Oh, he read this message at 7:42 p.m. No reply. Oh, he opened your Snapchat. No reply. Oh, this, that, whatever, no reply." Or if he did reply, "I'm just going through some stuff. I'll call you later." Okay, just let me know when. 2 years later pass and nothing. No happy birthdays, no how are you, no I miss your mom, I miss your family, nothing. Just chopped liver, I guess. I guess I wasn't able to be, I don't know, a side character in his story after a while. I was just a season, I guess you could say. And that's literally what friends are, if you think about it. You're the main character of your own book. And you have to think about it like, you might have a romantic interest or you might not at whatever point in your life. You're reading this book, you're writing this chapter, and it's just like, do I want people like, I don't know, let's call him Anthony. Do I want people like toxic like Anthony in my life as a side character for the rest of my life? No, I don't. I don't even want Anthony to get like a paragraph in my damn book. He doesn't deserve it. He was a hypocrite. No thanks. And it's just like the same thing with other people like Kay. It's like, I'm just so done trying to be there for people who just wouldn't give two shits about me. Like, yeah, they might cry at my funeral, but that's it. I don't even want a funeral when I die. So like realizing some toxicities in friendships is God bless. And I remember girls used to do this shit to me all the time in elementary school and middle school, because that's when your insecurities start to arise. I guess that's when people don't know how to feel about themselves, because everybody is constantly pointing out your flaws, whether they mean to, which they did to me, or they don't mean to. So like I've had some girls be like, oh my God, like your eyes are uneven. Same thing with guys. There's this one boy in my PE class who I occasionally talk to. I remember one time he was just like, your eyes are uneven. And I'm like, no shit. Humans aren't very symmetrical. I said, what about you? What about your lips? And I just said it like as like an instant reflex, because like, I don't know, at that time it's like, you pick on me, I'll pick on you. Um, but it's like I've had some girls say some pretty nasty things to me and like for no reason, and it's just ridiculous. But in terms of like long-term friendships, God, I think the worst thing, the worst thing someone has ever done to me, and we're still friends. I'm talking about my guy friend. Will I out him? Let's call him William. His initials are the same, so if you know me, you know who William is. But me and William had met via online Omegle, which is probably not the best place. When I was going into high school, so I just turned 14, and William had just turned 15, because at the time, like, we were on Omegle, I think late June, and his birthday is June 10th. And so we were talking, and it was great. And he's been through a lot of shit with me, like the fake friend. He was there with Kay, and he helped me. And when I was crying on the phone via FaceTime or Skype or whatever, like, he was always there for me and would just reassure me that everything would be okay. Fast forward like a year or two, I was very close with William, super close, to the point where I still call him one of my best guy friends, and he knows that. And we've both gone through a lot of like insecure stages, puberty together. Like, we both look like two different people, I guess you could say, before and after. We still look like super different than how we did when we first met. Our mindset has definitely grown, and we're very much so on similar wavelengths. But at this one time, I remember he was being hella distant out of nowhere. It was just like a 180, and I was so confused because I was going through stuff myself. And out of nowhere, like, call me call me silly for like crying about this and having like PTSD from this, but he called me. Like, I remember I sent him a Snapchat, just like a selfie with like a little peace sign, because I throw up peace signs when I'm awkward and I don't know what to do. I sent him a selfie and I'm like, hey, how are you? And he opened it and he just messaged me like, you're gross. I started crying because like I had gone through a lot of like stuff at that time, both mentally and physically, like the way my body was changing. And William was always there for me, and he was like kind of like my hype man, and I was his hype woman, I guess you could say. And like we were just the best of friends. And for him to say that and just start like being a dick to me out of nowhere, it just made me feel so bad about myself and so self-conscious. And it's to the point where like William doesn't even remember he did this to me because he just like forgot about it because it wasn't an important part of his life. But I started crying about it, and whenever somebody would call me gross, I would just start automatically crying because it just brings back those memories. He wasn't toxic. He was just a dumbass. Like, if I'm being honest, like, William, if you're listening to this, you know who you are. He sucked at communicating, and I don't even know if it was him or his girlfriend at the time who saw my selfie and got jealous or whatever. But he apologized for it, and we're fine now. But when you have closer friends like I did, it got hard to see like whether their comments were from insecurities that they had and they were projecting onto me, or they just didn't like the fact that I don't care. Like, I don't care if my eyes are uneven. I don't care if men are staring at my boobs or butt or catcalling me. which I mean, it to a point, like I do care and I'll punch someone who's like making me feel uncomfortable, sure. But I mean, if it's to the point where like, for example, I've had like a whole bunch of guys had crushes on me throughout like middle school and high school, which looking back, it was kind of funny because I don't know, I'm great. I love myself, I really do. But like at the time and sometimes even now, I just can't fathom like how someone can genuinely like me. Like, yeah, I have a great personality. I'll make you laugh. Boy, will I make you laugh. My life is an entire meme itself. But just like growing up, I was just like, how can someone like me? And even now, looking back, I'm like, how the hell was I in a relationship in the first place? Like, and it's not to say like I'm unlovable. It just I can't visualize it until it happens, if that makes sense. And so like I've had some of my closest friends who one of them I also fell out with right after middle school because she was always jealous of me. Um, let's call her let's call her I don't know what's a good name. Let's call her Dorothy. I don't know why I'm thinking of Wizard of Oz. Dorothy had an older brother who a lot of girls found to be like hot or whatever. Could never relate to that. Still don't relate to that. Like, yeah, he's a great guy, but not my type. No thanks. I will pass. And so Dorothy would always just like be kind of jealous of me at school. I don't know why, because at that time she was like one of my best friends in middle school. And like I would always defend her if people were shit talking her, like bullying her. Like I'd always step up for my friends, and I still do. Um, and like I remember it was getting to a point where she was just so jealous of me, and there were so many red flags in that relationship where she would try to steal some of my friends, if that makes sense. Like I would introduce her, like I introduced her to William, and she was just like, "Oh my god, yes." And like she would just bombard texting William, and I remember William was telling me that she was annoying him. And so Dorothy like would always kind of make me feel bad, I guess you could say, because she was envious. She would be like, "Oh my god, how do you know like the hottest guys at her school? Like why does he hug you? Why do you talk to him? I could never do that. Like it shouldn't be you, it should be me." And I'm like, okay, then become friends with them. Like, I'm sorry, I have PE class with like the guys that you obsess over in like the 7th and 6th grade. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, they literally come for me to like ask them what they should buy for their girlfriends because I have like good taste, I guess. I don't know. And literally, that was the case. Like, I had one guy just sit next to me the entire time in PE and talk about his girlfriend. And like, I just reminded me of like an older brother or like a cousin type of like vibe. You know what I mean? Like someone's like your family, not your family type of shit. And then his best friend was just flat out hitting on me. Like I would always feel so weird around him. His name was Austin. I don't talk about him. I will expose him. Um, because I don't know, it was weird. And like Dorothy was obsessed with Austin because she's really into blonde hair, blue eyes, I guess you could say. Um, which is funny. But yeah, so that was like always her type. And she was just always like, "Oh my God, how do you know so and so?" And like his best friend, like, "Oh my God." And then she would just be like, "Oh my God, like, wow, you actually look pretty, this, that, whatever." And she would kind of like try to put me down to make herself feel better. And there's a lot of people that do that. Or like I've seen a lot of people like on TikTok, for example, exposing their toxic friends who like either didn't invite them to like an after party or has like a group chat shit talking them, which I never understood because I never had enough friends to actually make a group chat. Fun fact. I just don't like big crowd friendships because I always feel like there's just people who don't vibe with each other. That's just my thing. It doesn't have to be yours. You could have like a big crowd of friends and just get along just fine. But from my experiences, like friendship groups of probably more than 3 or 4 never worked out in my favor ever. I was always the one being left out. I was always the one who would walk behind everybody on the sidewalk and wait for the ones who would tie their shoe. That was me. And so just like when I got out of whether it was like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be super deep, but like whatever grade level I was in, and if I moved to like a new school or just like left town, people start to show their true colors the moment you mess with something that's important to them. The moment you stop doing what they expected you to do, for example, me always being there for people who never gave me the time of day, the moment I stopped sharing my energy and efforts with them, they changed completely and they started being dicks, or they started making me feel bad, or they just cut me off completely because I wasn't giving them the attention they wanted. And so like there's other things too where sometimes you don't even cut out friends, you just lose friends as you go through life, and they're not necessarily toxic, but how do I explain this? Like sometimes like you just want different things in life. And I know that sounds more like towards a breakup, but friendships breakups I should say, those things hurt way more in my opinion than a freaking breakup, because like for someone to go from my best friend who would come with me on like family trips, knows my entire family, my family cares for them, my family loves them, to going to someone that I can never talk to again because they broke my trust, that shit hurts so bad. It hurts so bad, especially if you've known them for a while and they just, it sucks. Or it even sucks if just like it slowly fell out, like I mentioned in the beginning, and you just can't talk to each other again. Like that shit sucks ass. But people who make you feel bad about yourself, people who always compare you to them, people who always make you feel belittled, I should say, those are not friends. Those are literally people just putting you down because they want to feel better about themselves. People who bully you, people who try to haze you, people who make you feel like you have weird interests. They just, they're the ones with the weird interests. Like, why would you want to bully someone? Like, why would you want to put someone down? Like, what are you into? Are you a masochist? Are you sadist? Like, I'm not vibing with that in a friendship. No thanks. But it's just, I don't even know what to say. It's appalling, I should say. Like for people, and I've seen this before with my best friend. I'll just say Kenna. I'll just say McKenna. So one of my best friends, McKenna. I remember this girl who I will never ever talk to again because she was a straight up bitch. Okay, her name is Chloe, and that's her real name, and she will be exposed because she was crazy. Um, my best friend McKenna at the time in middle school would suffer from acne, and I would get my occasional pimples. Like my entire forehead was pimply because I would drink a lot of dairy back then. I'm dairy free, and now my skin is better. Woo! But besides the point, McKenna was on the cheer squad, and oh my god, I would always refer to her as like the Victoria's Secret model because she was tall, and man, I freaking wish I could be tall. I'm solid 5'5". And her friend at the time, her fake ass friend Chloe, who was like vice captain of the cheer squad or whatever, she was shorter than me. She was maybe like 5'2", 5'3", with a lot of attitude. Fun fact. Like a chihuahua, bro. If I was to compare her to a dog, demonic chihuahua. That's who she is. She just came up to my friend McKenna. I remember we're just standing and we're just like there. And my friend tried to look pretty that day because I think they had like a cheer competition like that week, and she wanted to dress up and look pretty. And I was like, okay, bet, like I'll try to look cute for like a seventh grader, eighth grader. And this lady, this girl, Chloe, comes up to my best friend, who I was complimenting, and starts going off on how ugly she looks and how she'll never be loved and how, like, she's a disgrace to the cheer squad, this, that, whatever, and how she can't look good and that she needs her to do this and that. Bro, I put a stop to that shit so quick. My, like, Cuban ass temper that I get from my mom, my Colombian temper I get from my dad, that shit came out so quick. And I just said, listen, I said, I don't need you to put down my best friend McKenna because you feel insecure. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not just going to stand here and let her take it. I said, I've got better things to do than to sit here and listen to how insecure you feel and look about yourself. I took my friend's hand and I started walking. And I remember McKenna was like, GV, what are you doing? GV. And I was like, keep walking. I am done with that bitch's attitude. Like, she doesn't deserve you. You are a cinnamon roll. You're too precious. And my friend really is a cinnamon roll. Like, she's super nice, super sweet. She's very humble, very caring. She's a good friend, good person. And so, like, for this girl to just come up and just be rude to her, I couldn't stand it. You know, I just can't stand that shit. But yeah, literally after me calling her out for her shit and being super fake and superficial just to look good, to get guys' attention or whatever, like, oh my god, I can't. Like, at that time, McKenna was just only putting up with her. And the moment that they went to separate high schools, she ended up going to my high school, that girl. And McKenna went to a separate one. They stopped talking. And I was happy for my friend, McKenna, because she doesn't deserve to be treated like shit. No one deserves to be treated like that. Like, that is not a friend. That is, again, someone who's just wanting to put you down. they like having, I guess you could say, like if you've ever seen like a movie or like any cartoons or anything like that, like it's always the bad guys that have like for example, Mean Girls. Like Regina has a two other girls and she like manipulates them and like sometimes puts them down. Like it's that type of like toxic squad where like one of them is like the head honcho, like the boss, the baddie, whatever you want to call them, and then the rest just kind of go with the flow because they think she has this power over them and she really doesn't. Like she's just, I don't know, a bitter person, like someone who's just not happy with themselves or anyone doing good for that matter. And I just think that's sad. Like you shouldn't spend your time with people like that. Like I mean, I wouldn't, if I had a friend like that, I would just stop. And I've had friends who my mom has met, and parents and like anyone who you're really close to, like not even your parents, like your grandparents, just people, you trust, and take their advice with stuff, I guess, like life advice on. They are so quick to freaking call out the snakes in your life and the fake ass friends. And I love it. My mom has been right about so many girls who have come and guys who've come and like slept over, like sleepovers, all that stuff, just like hanging out, board game night, whatever it was. And it's so funny because it's to the point where like every single one she didn't like, they all had like their own issues and they all like ended up kind of being fake towards me, which is great. Um, it's great because it saves me from wasting any time on people who are just gonna one just turn around and either betray me or like abandon me and never speak to me again or consider me like an actual friend. And then number two, like again, life is too short to be with people who are just going to half-ass the relationship and only want one thing from you and they expect you to keep giving and giving and giving. And you're going to get tired. If you're a well, right, and you're filled with water and no one like puts more water in you or like the rain happens or whatever happens with wells. Sorry, I don't know that much information on wells. Like you're going to get empty if the only thing that happens is they just take and take and take. Like if you're a cup of water and no one puts more water in you, you're gonna get empty pretty quick if people are just sipping and passing you around, and you're gonna become empty so quick and feel burnt out on those relationships because the only thing they did was use you. So, I mean, cutting out friends is pretty easy to an extent, right? Unless you're the one who's having issues letting go, because I'm pretty sure the toxic ones, they know they're toxic. They know they effed up. They know they did wrong. And they know that they're treating you like shit. Will they admit it? Probably not. Will they try to swallow their pride? No. Will they continue to like feed their ego and think they're the shit? Yeah, most likely. Will they try to use you as a stepping stone to put you down to elevate themselves and their status? Yeah. Yeah, they probably will. And they will continue to do that until they realize how wrong they've been about, their friendships and how they go about it their entire life. But until that happens, these people are still going to be toxic with you because that's how they choose to be around you. Everybody has different sides. Some of the girls who I've cut out like talking to and some of the guys like they're living their best life. Don't get me wrong, they're not crying over spilt milk. They're not crying over losing me. They might think about me from time to time and like my references and my jokes or like when they see my Instagram post, they'll think about me. Yeah, they might be nostalgic, but does that mean they miss me? No. Will they be happier in their present time? Most likely. Most freaking likely they will. But other than that, it's just like I wouldn't want to go back into a friendship with someone toxic. And I have a few friendships right now who they may or may not listening. They may or may not be listening to this. They know damn well that they have done some effed up stuff to me. And I'm still debating whether or not I should or should not cut them out because it's just like one of those things where it's like the feelings and the vibes you get are just not there. And so I'm at the point right now with these flaky friendships where I'm done. Like I'm done trying to figure out if you're a good friend, if you're not a good friend, if you were a good friend, and that you just evolved like I did. So let's think about this. Everybody knows Pokemon, right? If not, you can Google it. You have your phone, whatever you're listening to this off of, you can search it. I bet you can. I'm just thinking of Pokemon Go, and I was explaining this to a new friend that I just made. How there's people that like, let's say you get a Pokemon, right? Let's say I get Eevee or whatever Pokemon you want, and I'm trying to get like the Aqua Eevee. Like I want the water one. And so I save enough points or whatever, and I try to evolve it. And instead of getting the water one, I get the opposite. I get the fire one. And maybe, I don't know why, but I just don't like that fire one. It wasn't what I needed, whatever. It's like you guys evolve differently, right? It's like you're in a different environment now. It's not like, if I was a water EV and the person I'm talking about is a fire one, we're not compatible. Yeah, we're opposites. Yeah, we have history, but we're both going separate ways. Like I'm going to do better in certain environments and she's going to do, worse in the environments I'm good in and vice versa. So it's just like there comes to a point where you just accept it for what it is and you're like, you know what? Yeah, we've evolved. Whether or not in your perspective you think them evolving was a downgrade or an upgrade is up to you. I know definitely for sure I've upgraded. I'm more reserved. I am not as free going with my energy as I used to be. Like before, I used to not really care and just hang out with people who wanted to hang out with me. Now I'm kind of more reserved about that. In a good way, obviously, not in like a obnoxious, like, it's a privilege to spend time with me. Not like that. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like people evolve and people continue to change. And it's not wrong for you to want to cut off people that, either did wrong or just you just don't vibe with anymore. Because again, I've had some friends that I have cut out and walked away from that maybe they didn't get to do anything super toxic or super rude or like betray me in any way. But if I would have given it some time, they probably would have. Like judging from their character and their characteristics and their actions and the way they spoke about other people. That's another thing. If like you can tell how people are and how they're willing to be towards you when you hear them shit talk other people. Whether it's like a guy shit talking his crazy ex or like a girl talking shit about her ex best friend. Like, it's crazy. You can see how people really are the moment they start talking about other people and how bad they've been affected by those people. And I mean, I'm not defending anyone who's been like dirtied by like mean people or anything like that or stabbed in the back. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is like you can tell how immature people are and if they're willing to forgive and stuff like that. Like you learn a lot from their actions and their word choices, obviously. But yeah, toxic friends suck. And the more you pay attention to how you feel around them, is probably the best way to find out whether or not they are toxic. If they're constantly comparing you, they're constantly making you feel bad. If they ditch you and they leave you hanging and you're just like, what the heck? And they do this every single time, like they always stand you up, they always give an excuse. Their energy is off. They're half-assing the relationship. They just don't care anymore. They don't check up on you anymore. If you're the one dropping all the connections, there's no communication from their side. And then they give you bullshit excuses. Great. Love that. That's a toxic friend. But, find people that make you feel good. Life is too short to be surrounded around like and to be around and to be surrounded by people who just only care about themselves in a bad way. Not in a good way. In a good way, it's like, you want people to grow and you're happy for them and their accomplishments, but in the bad way where they only care about themselves and they're not putting in time and effort towards you and the connection you guys have. You deserve people who are willing to root for you and support you and be there for you through the good and the bad. People who will not judge you if you ended up decided to like, I don't know, sleep with your ex again, or like you did something bad, or like, I don't know, you did some crazy stuff, not necessarily murdering or like do anything super bad because obviously they're going to judge you if you do that. But if you can just be yourself around them, that's a good sign. And they don't judge and they don't hurt you and they don't make you feel bad after opening up. That's a good sign. I don't know. Hopefully more interesting people come into your life, people who elevate you, people who make you happy, not people who put you down. Hopefully those people will, show you their true colors so you can hopefully take out the trash sooner. And if they want to walk out of your life, you know what you do? You just hold the damn door open for them and you wish them good luck because they are just not meant to be in your life anymore. And that's that. Everything has a time and a place, and maybe their time expired a little earlier than you thought it would. And that is today's episode, my dudes, my friends that I have yet to meet. I'm kidding. I think we'd all be pretty good friends, everyone listening to this. But yes, that was today's episode. I really do hope you enjoyed. Please cut out toxic friends. Please stop giving people who don't deserve chances a second, third, fourth chance. You deserve better. You deserve to be happy. And I hope you find friends that make you feel good for just being you and being open and being honest, because you deserve that. You deserve to be happy. If you have anything you would like to say to me, or you have any questions, or again, any podcast like topics or things you'd like me to talk about, I will never put you on blast. I will just make an episode. Just please send me either an email at talkingtothewallspodcast@gmail.com, or feel free to hit up the Instagram. I promise I'm there. I've just been slacking with the posts lately, so don't get mad at me. It's also Talking to the Walls podcast on Instagram. And if you follow my main page, you'll have access to that. If you click the little stuff on the side wherever you're watching this podcast or hearing it from, I always have the Instagrams and emails in there, so you can just copy and paste that. I hope you guys have a great day, and I just want you to remember that you are enough. And if people can't take no for an answer, then they're not allowing you to assert your boundaries, whether that's friendship or relationship. I feel like someone needed to hear that, so please remember that. Have a great day, my dudes. I love you guys, and until the next episode.